Zoom.
Okay, Todd, I think we are on. If you'd like to kick us off.
Okay, thank you, Director Mueller. So greetings, everyone. This is a hearing for Spokane Planning Commission on Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. Even though we're just rolling in from a workshop, I think it may be appropriate to take roll call one more time. Please.
All right, Michael Baker.
Here.
Todd Byrather.
Michael, did you hear that? I'm not hearing Jackie if you are.
I can barely hear her.
Oh.
I thought maybe it's just out of habit that you said you're.
I can't hear her either very well.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. All right, I'll start over. Michael Baker.
Here.
Todd Byrather.
Here.
John Dietzman.
Here.
Greg Francis.
Here.
Thomas Sanderson. And I think he is here. I see him on the participant list. So
Here.
Okay, thank you. Carol Shook.
Sure.
Here.
Sylvia St. Clair.
Here.
Clifford Winger.
Here.
Thank you. Mary Winkus.
Here.
Joanne Wright.
Here.
Candace Mumm. She's not here. And Diana Painter. She's also not here. So we have a quorum.
Okay, I didn't hear Jackie. Are you still counting? I wasn't counting.
Yeah, we have a quorum.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. Okay, so today's hearing is for the North Foothills CC3 overlay zone expansion hearing, which we workshopped a couple weeks ago. So I will hand off to Mr. Carol Black.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Again, my name is Carol Black. I work for City Spokane Planning. We do not very often do a zoning overlay, so this has been an interesting project. This was before you at a workshop on July the 22nd, so you saw this at your last meeting. I did want to point out that if people are just joining, that on there's a project page for this particular proposal, the North Foothills Center CC3 zoning overlay. There's also information at the Plan Commission website about your hearings, your meetings. The agenda packets are on there. This contains the staff report and other pertinent information. And then after Plan Commission, this item will move to City Council. City Council also has a web page with their packet and their information. So just to help guide people through the process. Again, my name's Tyrrell, my email address, and also my phone if people want to follow up or have questions. Happy to talk to people. This is the area that we're looking at. It's located generally at the Hamilton intersection with North Foothills. Hamilton becomes Nevada in this area, and North Foothills takes a curve that many people are familiar with between North Hamilton and the Perry Light. There are two proposed projects in this area which really started this whole discussion. One is called Gonzaga Haven. It's a 72 apartment unit project by Catholic Charities of Eastern Washington. And also District 81 is looking to site a middle school in this area. And that will have frontage along Perry and North Foothills. So the areas that are yellow on this map are showing the areas where the overlay is proposed to be applied. This project was begun by the City Council, so the City Council does have the authority to initiate sub-area planning actions and also to consider amendments to the zoning map. So in May, the Council directed staff to do abbreviated sub-area planning in this area for this purpose. And it was to do an abbreviated, so quick process. Sometimes our planning efforts take up to 2 years. These projects needed this overlay in a quicker manner. So we did take time to make sure that there was public noticing of this proposal, and also agency notice, which occurred in June. And then we did mailed notice to property owners within 400 feet. We put signs in the property on July. We did a combined notice, so at that time people received notice of the application, notice of the SEPA determination, and also notice of this hearing. We also included notice of a virtual open house in there. That was our first one. We had 8 people attend. We did do what outreach we could with the neighborhood. And also, of course, as I mentioned, we had a workshop with you last month. So here we are at the hearing, and council is looking to hear this also at the end of August. This is the area in this map. It's hashed with yellow, it's hashed with red, but it shows you the surrounding zoning. I'm missing that maybe you can see my pointer, but the areas are both zoned industrial. They are adjacent to area that is zoned CC1EC. CC1EC stands for Centers and Corridors Type 1, which is an employment center. The overlay can only be used around a center, the CC3 overlay, and I'll talk more about what that does. But this overlay doesn't change the base zoning, so the zoning that you see here will continue to be in place. This is, I've put little yellow stars on this map that I hope you can see that show the areas that we're talking about generally. But I wanted to show in bigger context, the Hamilton corridor is a centers and corridors, a district center. And then this area of the North Foothills Center does have a lot of industrial industrial zone property already in existence. It also has the CC3 overlay already located to the south and to the west of this area. So just some of the details. The total is 10.8 acres. There's 12 parcels that are under this consideration. Only one is a partial amount of the partial. That's a tough to say. Again, as I mentioned, it's zoned light industrial. It will continue that zoning. It is adjacent to CC core land use and the CC1EC zoning, and this is in the Logan neighborhood. We do have some other, the CC3 overlay allows an applicant to opt in and use the CC1 or the CC2 zoning standards. So it's kind of a additional opportunity. It allows the base zoning to still be used, so the light industrial could still be used if one preferred, but it does allow opt-in to CC1 or CC2. When someone does opt in to use that zoning, they also take on the design standards and the landscape standards of that base zone. So the opportunity to use the overlay to have residential is really a benefit to the Gonzaga Havens. We do have some other overlay zones in the city that you're probably familiar with. The North River Overlay District, for example, gives more floor area ratio to projects. We have some special height overlay districts, and of course we also have airfield overlay zones that regulate for height and use. As I mentioned before, in our workshop, this is not a amendment, but an amendment to the land use plan map. The And as I mentioned, this is kind of extra zoning, and it does not change the base zone. I mentioned a little bit of the outreach earlier, so we did do mailed notice of this action, posted signs on the property. We had the workshop, the virtual open house, and here we are today at the hearing. The City Council has have noticed that we will have the public hearing on the 24th. In your packet is the staff report. We have recommended approval in that and outlined some of the decision criteria. It's quite straightforward decision criteria for a zoning overlay. It's the same as for a text amendment. It looks at consistency with the comprehensive plan, and the proposal bears a substantial relation to public health, safety, welfare, and protection of the environment. So hearing no adverse comments under SEPA review, and no additional impacts on the transportation system. Those were both met. And in the staff report, I discussed a little bit about the preferred process that's laid out in the comprehensive plan for planning around centers. It does include public outreach and participation. So as I mentioned, the City Council has already set the hearing for the 24th, and that's been sent to email notice to all the interested persons so far and so published. But the City Council does have a slightly different hearing process than the Plan Commission. So if you are interested in testifying, I would have you look there, and they do have a really helpful guide on their page about how to testify. And with that, I do have a slide for public testimony to remind me that we are also taking testimony if anyone is here, but I would like to pause, and I know I went really quickly, so I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Tyrell,
Yes.
this is Joanne. Did you, the Logan Neighborhood Council, did they comment? And
They did not comment. They are not meeting virtually.
okay,
Many neighborhoods are. Bemis Neighborhood Council did invite me to attend one of their meetings and do a presentation. So that was another opportunity for some outreach. They were very interested, but they didn't have any ad comments. And I should also mention that the only public comment received was forwarded to you was from Catholic Charities of Eastern Washington in support of the proposal. I have gotten a couple phone calls, but I have no written comment from anyone in the record.
there's a letter from the Bemis Neighborhood Council.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And that, yeah.
Well, they had concerns about mainly the safety of the children from that housing development. And so I'm presuming that when the school, I think it's mentioned in the report that there will be a Safe Routes to School study probably done when the school district does build. Is that correct?
Yes, they will be. The Bemis Neighborhood Council comments were particularly directed towards the site design.
Yes.
And since this is just a zoning overlay, these are not addressed, those items are not addressed in this action. So I think, yes.
I understand that, but I'm
Yes.
to ease their minds, this will probably happen in the future. Is that correct? That there will
Yes,
be Safe Routes to School?
The school district is already working on their site design,
Okay.
and I believe they will be at Design Review Board. So Bemis Neighborhood will also have the opportunity and be noticed about that, the opportunity to participate in that process.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work.
Okay, any other commission questions for Carol before we move into public testimony? Yeah, I think we did a good job of workshopping this a couple weeks, so thank you, Tyrell. As we move into, by the way, do you have anything else, Tyrell?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So as we move to public testimony, so normally we would read the hearing procedures. Kind of do an abbreviated online. We're going to feel for this. So all persons wishing to speak at the hearing shall indicate normally on a sheet provided, but we will try to use the chat feature or just simply raise your hand or speak up, and we'll try to put you in queue. Please verbally identify yourself and, if appropriate, your representation. With that, I think today it's sufficient to allow 3 minutes per person, and I think with that we'll just simplify everything here. So, is anyone from on the WebEx feature or on the phone that would like to testify? Okay, so I see Mr. Jonathan Mallahan, please. So why don't you go ahead and start? Please identify yourself, and then if anyone else is on, please feel free to just use the chat feature or speak up after Mr. Mallahan speaks.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your consideration of this overlay zone. I just wanted to note that this 72-unit affordable housing community, we believe, is consistent with the comp plan. We are designing this project so that commercial space will be on the street front. We are designing it with our resident families in mind, so we'll have 60,000 square feet of green and park space in the center of the project. It'll have a splash pad, it'll have a play structure, a community garden, a quarter mile of bike and pedestrian trails, and this overlay zone allows us to structure the housing so that it's sort of in a quad design, and all that will be central to the project. So families will be protected from the busy arterial streets around there, and there will be no vehicle traffic through the project if our vacation requests were approved by the council. I did want to just note that we did respond to the Bemis Neighborhood Council comments, and Tyrell has those. So, Joanne, if you'd like a copy of those, I'm happy to send those to you directly, but I know Tyrell has them as well. The critical nature of this overlay allows for us to not just park all of our cars over onto one side of the lot adjacent to Gonzaga Prep's campus. This really allows for this to be a truly protected and special place for the families. It will also include 20,000 square feet of community services that are open to the broader Logan neighborhood. And those amenities I referenced in the green space are also open to the broader community. They're not just for our residents. So early learning, primary health care, counseling, before and after school programming, all those things are on site for our families and for neighborhood residents to take advantage of as well. I'll just close by noting that this is not an asset that Catholic Charities wants to just keep for our folks. We've had the Logan neighborhood involved in the design of this project. They've been at the table since the very beginning in our design work group. So we're trying to make sure that this project's not only consistent with the Logan neighborhood, but with the plans they have for the future of their neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Mallahan. And you might have said it, I think the commission knows, but can you restate your affiliation, please? Just for the record.
I'm Catholic Charities of Eastern Washington.
All right, thank you. Okay, any questions for Mr. Mallahan from the commission?
Thank
Okay.
you, Jonathan.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, anyone else from the public? I don't see anyone else on the list here. Good calling, users, though. If you're on the phone, I can hear this, and I think they're unmuted, right, Jackie?
No, they aren't muted right now.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody on the phone should be able to speak currently.
Yeah. Okay.
There normally is a delay, Todd, remember, when it is going out over the the live WebEx, so we might give them another minute. But if anybody on
Okay, we
the
can do it.
telephone, would like to provide public comment on this item, please speak up. James Richmond, is there anything you would like to say? This is mainly a test to make sure we're reaching everybody. I haven't heard you speak yet.
You're coming in loud and clear, but I have nothing to add at this point.
Thank you.
Greg, you must have a comment.
Not yet.
I'll make a comment during deliberations.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably sufficient. Okay, with that, then we'll close the record on public testimony, and I don't think there's any need for rebuttal, unless, Carol, you think there is?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, then we can entertain a motion. Mr. Francis.
I would like to move that. Let me get this right. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval by the City Council for the extension of the North Foothills Center CC3 zoning overlay.
I'll second it.
I'll give that to Joanne.
Okay.
Okay, moved by Mr. Francis. And Ms. Wright. Okay, now we can move into deliberation.
So I'm just going to say that I think that the purpose of this overlay, while I'm not a super big fan of this overlay process, I get why it's being done. I think that the work that both Catholic Charities and Spokane Public Schools, they're going to make good use of this overlay, and so I'm going to support it.
I would echo what Greg has to say. It's totally consistent with the comprehensive plan and really makes good use of the centers and corridors concept, and I think promotes that concept and a much better design standards in that overlay than you would find in that industrial zone. So I would support it also.
I think it'll be a big boost for the neighborhood.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
I agree, but I have a question in regards to some questions that I see in the chat with all. Are they part of the, should we have addressed them before we went into the deliberation?
I think this might be from before, but if you see something time-stamped after 4 o'clock, let me know that I'm not seeing.
I'm not sure. 1445, 1446.
Yeah, I think those are all from the previous workshop. But thank you, Carol, for
Okay.
bringing that up. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes, this was a new process, but I think this is informative, and I don't have any opposition to it. So that was educational, and thank you to everyone involved. Are we ready to take roll call? Okay. Jackie, please.
All right. Michael Baker,
Aye.
Todd Byrather,
Aye.
John Dietzman,
Aye.
Greg Francis,
Aye.
thank you, Thomas Sanderson, aye. Okay. I see you waving.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Carol Shook,
Aye.
Sylvia St. Clair,
Aye.
Clifford Winger,
Aye.
Joanne Wright,
Aye.
All right, the motion passes.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.